is if you have a look at this Etherpad, if you have a look at this Etherpad link, okay, the Etherpad link is for those internal. Okay, so if you're internal, then you can go to this Etherpad link, and what you will see when you get there is something like this. Let me go there for you. Oh, it's already there. Right, so that's what you're going to see if you go to that Etherpad link. Okay, so whilst you're listening to me waffle on here, you can have a quick read of this, and then you can take an IP address from here. Okay, as you can see, there is a whole list of names and IP addresses. All the names are RHTE_classroom. Please take one of those, change it to your name, and use that IP address. And then put ready on the end once you've logged into CloudForms. Okay, that is your own private AWS instance for you to use and play with for the next 4 hours. I'm only giving you 4 hours because my budget is not huge. So let's see if we've got anybody able to do that. I have 2 people in Etherpad already. Now, somebody's saying, can I enter the URL? Yeah, hold on, let me put that in there for you. I'm going to put that in the chat window. So there's the link is in the chat window. Okay, so next thing. Is there any partners? Nobody's identified themselves as partners. Anybody partners? Identify yourselves as a partner on the chat window, and then I can give you one of these IP addresses. Clearly, you won't have access to this document, so I can put your name in here for you and assign you the IP. Okay, doesn't look like we've got any partners. That saves that. Okay, so for those 24 people in the class, presumably you're taking, there you go, we've got 1 person. Richard, well done, you've managed to take an IP address. Right, so I'm going to move on with the presentation. You guys, in the meantime, start taking the IP addresses here and mark them as ready, like the first address is, when you have logged into CloudForms successfully. Right, back to the presentation. Okay, so the other thing that is on this page is a link to a Dropbox location, okay, and you can see that there, okay. This Dropbox location, very important, because in this Dropbox location, you're going to find some materials that you need for this class, okay. So if I go to that Dropbox location, there you go, okay? So if you go to that link, that's what you're going to see. You're going to see a subfolder called Auto Scale Materials. You're going to see the PowerPoint presentation that I'm delivering right now, okay? You're going to need that PowerPoint presentation open in your viewer because there is a bit of cutting and pasting to be done between the presentation and CloudForms. Otherwise, if you type it, you're probably going to get it wrong. So let me put that link into the chat window for you. There you go. So in the chat window, you've got the link to the Etherpad, and you've also got the link to the download materials. Okay, so we're 10 minutes in. We've probably got a good amount of time now to actually conduct what it is we want to do. Okay. I suppose what I need to do is actually log on to my instance as well. That would probably be a good idea. And there's mine there, okay? Remember, the password for logging on to your CloudForms instance is not SmartVM, okay? It's open source with a capital O 2014. And when you log in, it's fairly basic. Some history to this. The client or the image you're using for CloudForms is an image constructed by myself, Mai, and Ronak for the Summit Twitter stuff we did. So it's been fairly well tried and tested. It's a good CloudForms appliance, to be honest with you. And it's sitting in Amazon for you. Right, next thing to do then is presentation. Let's go. Right, flexing. We're going to take take a service. We're going to do the implementation steps to get it to flex. We're going to flex it via a button. We're not actually going to flex it via an alert, and we're not going to retire it in this time, but you have the presentation deck now to take away with you, and you can obviously play with that in your own lab in your own time. Next thing, the implementation steps that we're going to go through today is we're going to import the flex service class. We're going to import the flex alert. We're going to modify the service state machine. Okay, we're going to create our own state machine for services. We're going to modify the VM provision state machine, okay, so that service flexing will work. We're not going to do the retirement state machine, okay, I've hidden those slides. You can unhide them and do that in your own time. We're going to create the service dialog. We're going to create the catalog item. We're going to then go through the testing of it, okay? Right, so we go straight into actually doing the work now, okay? So what I would like you to do is I'd like you to import, okay? And if anybody has any trouble keeping up, please do say so in the chat window, and I will go back and repeat steps. I do believe we've got plenty of time to do this in. It's fairly quick and easy to do service flexing, so ask me to repeat if necessary. Right, so the first thing we need to do is import the service flex class. Now that you will find in that Dropbox location underneath the service flex materials. So I'm going to have to exit the presentation here. It may be an idea for you guys to get the presentation up in another window, another monitor, if you can, and then you can follow along. And then that way we don't have to always keep referring to the presentation. So I'm going to exit, and I'm going to go to my instance. So there's my CloudForms instance, and it says go to automate and go to import, and you get this view. You can now click browse, and you can browse to the file. Now, obviously, I've already downloaded my file, so I can go to, where is it? Yeah. So auto scale materials, and you'll find the alert and the class there. Select the class and click open. And then click upload. Now, when it's uploaded successfully, you will actually get at the top of your screen, data store import was successful. Now, to see what it's actually done, if we go to automate and click on Explorer, you will see a new namespace called Nimbus. Okay, and inside of Nimbus, if you open that guy up, a new namespace called automation, and then a class called service flex. And inside the service flex class, we have 4 instances and 4 methods. Okay. Can anybody give me a sign on the chat window that things are working okay for them? Good, great, working. I will slow down, absolutely. Okay, so just to repeat that final step there and let some people catch up. Once logged into CloudForms, you go to Automate and you go down to the Import and Export menu item. And you import in the class by clicking on Browse, browsing to the service flex class.xml and clicking on Open. You can verify that you've imported correctly because under Automate and Explorer, you should find a new namespace called Nimbus. Okay. So with that now imported, let's go back to the presentation and see what the next step is. On slide 7, it's talking about importing the service flex alert. Okay, so this is fairly easy because it's exactly the same, just under a different menu system. than the step you just previously did. So let's go to Control and Import Export as the slide shows. So click on Control and Import Export. Okay, similar. You get a similar look and feel. You click on Browse, and you click on Service Flex Alert. And this time, it's a YAML file. So you click serviceflexalert.yaml and click Open. Once you've opened that file, you can then click Upload, and it should upload the Service Flex Alert. Now, you do have to commit this change, okay? So it tells you on the left-hand side what it is you're going to be importing, and then on the right-hand side, you can see the commit button where you can then say, right, go and commit these changes. Again, if you wish to verify what's actually happened, then you can click on Control and Explorer. And in the alert section, you're going to be looking for those new alerts that were just brought in. So under Control and Explorer, right down on the bottom at the left-hand side, there's alerts. And you can click on there, and you should have two new ones in your list called Service Flex. One's Service Flex CPU percent used greater than 50%, and the other one is Service Flex totally allocated memory percent used greater than 50%. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. Slide 8. Okay, implementation steps, creating the service state machine. Now, remember, when you create services inside of CloudForms, okay, you have to link it to a state machine. Now, if you don't, it will actually just pick up the default one, okay, which pretty much just enumerates the resources inside of the service. Now, by creating our own service state machine, it now gives us the ability to add and change the steps that are happening. If you're finding it hard to understand what a state machine is, think of it as a workflow, okay? It's more powerful than a workflow, so it's not actually a workflow. But if you're new to CloudForms, then a state machine is like a workflow of steps. So if we were to modify the default instance, then every single provision of a service we do would be modified with service flexing. What we want to do is we want to add service flexing to a very specific service. So therefore, we're going to create our own new service state machine. Okay. So to do that, you're going to need to create a new instance. Okay. You're going to do that inside of factory state machines service provision underscore template. Now, before you go there, copy this name here. Okay, so copy service flex underscore catalog item entry point. So let's go to service. Let's go to that area and let's go and create that. So it's saying go to Automate and Explorer. And it said go to Factory. It said go to State Machines. And it said go to Service Provision State Machine Service Provision underscore template. That's this guy here. Third one down. And in there, you'll see this list. What I would like you to do is click on Configuration and click Add New Instance. Okay. When you add a new instance, you're going to be given the chance to give it a name, which you can paste in, service flex catalog item entry point. Give it a display name. I have to give it the same and description. So there you go. All three are now set to service flex underscore catalog item entry point. Now, before we click add, we're going to go back to the presentation and just look at the next step. It says add nimbus / automation / service flex / service flex underscore catalog item initialization. So let's copy that. Okay. You look at the screen, you can see that I am copying the text / nimbus / automation / service flex / service flex underscore catalog item initialization. Let's go back and paste that in. It said put it into pre-2. Now, somebody's raised the question, what is the difference between the two? There isn't. They're just literally pre-steps. It doesn't matter. So let's go with /nimbus. Now, do be very, very careful when cutting and pasting in CloudForms. If you notice on my screen now, when I cut and pasted that in, it actually put a space in there. Okay, between automation / and service flex, there's a space. Remove that. Okay. Also, it must start with /. Okay. So I'm going to put mine in, and then I'll cut and paste it to the window so that it's the value. Bear with me. Let's see. There you go. Right, there you go. So if you look at my posting in the chat window, just make sure that when you cut and paste that you do not end up putting spaces in it. Okay, and then click add. Okay, so on the left-hand side, you now see service flex underscore catalog item entry point. You can click on that. And you'll see on the right-hand side, your state machine, which is your workflow. There's your steps, pre-1, pre-2, pre-3, configure child dialog, provision, check provisions, post, and so on. Okay, so in the pre-2, you can see that it says /nimbus / automation / service flex. So that's basically going to run a new step just for this state machine. So anybody who uses this state machine is going to have all of the default stuff that is in light gray, and it's going to run this new step called Nimbus automation. Let's go back to the deck and see what's next. Okay, so the next thing is to modify the virtual machine provisioning state machine. Okay, so the VM provision state machine needs to be modified. Now to do that, we need to modify the instance in factory state machines, VM provision, template. So let's go and find that first. So there's VM. So factory, state machines, VM provision underscore VM, and then template. Yeah, in the brackets, you can see that it gives you the name of the instance. The first name is the friendly name. The last bit in brackets is the actual instance name, and that's the one we want. We want provision VM from template, and the instance name is template. So select this one here. Okay, and again, it's another state machine of steps. Let's go back to the presentation and see what it is it wants us to do. Add to this Nimbus / automation / service flex add to service. Add that to one of the states after post provision. In other words, try and do it to maybe activate CMDB. So let's go and have a look at that. I'm cutting and pasting that. If I shove that into the window for you guys. It should be something like this. /nimbus / automation / service flex / service flex underscore add to service. Right, let's go there. So it said do it onto something like activate CMDB. So if we click on configuration and we click edit instance, I totally agree, Andrew. It would be awesome if we could have a look up, just as you're going to see in a minute. So activate CMDB. There you go. I've pasted in the bit from the chat window. I am double checking to make sure that there's no spaces. Okay, just in case. Right, that's good. So click save. Okay, back to the presentation. Skip a slide. Right, number 11. Okay. Create a service dialog called Flex Catalog Item. Okay. Flex Catalog Item. So let's go back and do that. So to create a service dialog, you click on Automate, click on Customization. Okay, under Automate and Customization, you will see on the left-hand side Service Dialogs. You can click on Service Dialogs. Now, we can cheat or we can create from new. I have already one here called Service Flex Sample. And I'm thinking that with it being half past the hour already, we may go down this little cheat option, okay, so that we can get a test running and then I can take some questions. Okay. So what I would have been asking you to do would be to create a new service dialog here, which would have looked like this one on the right-hand side. If you want to, you can go ahead and create that if you can follow the presentation quick enough. Otherwise, here's the key bits of information. Here. It's a dialog, and in that dialog, it has a tab. And in that tab, it has a box. And in that box, it has two attributes. One is called Service Flex Monitor, which must contain the name as written on the presentation. The rest of it, well, the label and the description can be whatever you like, but the name must be tag 0 Service Flex Monitor and Flex, Max Flex must be tag underscore 0 Service Flex Maximum. Then you give them these values, 0 to 5. Okay, so yeah, by all means, go and create that dialog if you want. But for the purpose of this, why don't we just go and use one that I've left in here just in case we were running a little bit slow on time. Okay. Back to the presentation. So it was going to ask you, create the service dialog. Here it is here. You must create an attribute that has that name, and then must have true and false as the values in the dropdown. And then you must create another dropdown that is tag underscore 0 and will have these values. Right, moving on, let's create the service. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a catalog item. If you think about now, you're a service designer, you're now going to construct a service catalog item for somebody. Okay. So let's go to Service Flex. If you go to CloudForms and click on Services and Catalogs. So up until now, all of the steps, including the dialog, including the cutting and pasting, and the importing of the state machine, the class, all of those steps are going to go away in the future. they're going to go away into one single step. You're going to be able to, in the future, be able to import a service, okay, which will include its state machine. It will include its alerts, its custom buttons, its configuration to the service, its class, its state machine, all of this stuff that we're now manually doing, you're going to be able to do with just one import. Hooray. So let's continue on with what we have to do manually for just now. On the left-hand side, if everybody is currently on services and catalogs, can you all click on catalog items on the left-hand side? And in here, you can click configuration and add new catalog item. Make sure that you are on catalog items on the left-hand side. Now, we're going to select Amazon as a catalog item, because that's where we're working. We're working inside of Amazon. So, Amazon catalog item, please. Let's just go back to the presentation to see what it says to do. Okay. Give the name and the description as Service Flex. Make sure you check the checkbox that says Display in Catalog. So, Service Flex, and Display in Catalog. When you do Display in Catalog, it suddenly opens up a whole new world of feature. Okay, and here you can now select the catalog to put your item into. So now you can select the catalog and you can say Amazon Demos. And in the dialog, you can now select either the one you've created, or if you want it to work, you can obviously select Service Flex Sample. Okay, so catalog set to Amazon Demos and dialog set to Service Flex Sample. The next thing, which will please one of the people on the chat window, is if you click on Provisioning Entry Point, and as long as you're not on a X230 laptop with a screen resolution of 640 by 480, you should be able to now see Select Entry Point Instance. And you can now navigate to the state machine you created. Now, if you remember, you created a state machine in Factory, State Machines, and in Service Provision Template. So in Service Provision Template, you will find your state machine you created. I wonder if Amazon's running as slow for you as it is for me. Come on. Whilst we're waiting for that, let's go back to the presentation. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to set the provisioning entry point to Factory State Machines, Service Provision _ Template, and then Service Flex _ Catalog Item Entry Point. Okay, and that's the value for that setting there. I'm just having to restart mine for some reason. Okay, so here you get a chance to see going through it again. So catalog item is Amazon. I'm going to go straight for the entry point, Factory, State Machines, service provision template. There you go. And service flex. Apply. Dialog was service flex sample. Catalog is Amazon demos. Give it a name. Right. Now on to the next part of the service detail, which is to actually give it an Amazon resource. Now, under the catalog, so under request info, under catalog, please select rel64 test and then give the instance name your name, okay? Because we're all provisioning into the same Amazon region and zone, okay? We don't want conflicts, so try and give it something unique. Right, so under request info, you can scroll through this big list of AMIs that I have at my disposal. And you are looking for rel64 test. There you go. Okay, so I have rel64 test selected. I've given it an instance name. Under environment, I'm going to say, put it in East 1A, US East 1A, please. Under properties, we're going to do instance type T1 micro, the very first one. The guest key can be Red Hat default. And you can leave CloudWatch as basic. Under schedule, you can try doing indefinite. Or as the PowerPoint states, I think I was giving you 2 hours and 1 hour. It's up to you. Once you've done those changes, click on Add. As you can see, my indefinite didn't work, so let's do as per the presentation says. Click Add. There you go. So now you've got your new service. Okay. So we've got our service flex, displaying catalog, Amazon demos is the catalog. The dialog is service flex sample. We're pointing to our service flex state machine, and we've got a resource in there. Back to the presentation. Where are we up to here? We are now at this point here, which is create the request instance. Okay. So now what we've got to do is we've got to wire it all together. Okay. So you've got to create in system request an instance called service flex processing. Okay, and then you've got to add to it the relationship system event service flex processing. Let's go and do that. Back to automate, back to Explorer. It was saying go to system, which is right on the bottom left, scroll it down, system and request. And there it is there, okay? On the right-hand side, you can click on configuration and you can click add a new instance. And when you click add new instance, it's going to be fairly similar to before. You can now cut and paste in from this presentation, service flex _ processing. Now, it did turn around and say that you needed to add a relationship, but I can't remember what that was. So let's go back, and here it is here on the presentation on slide 22. It says add a relationship, which is system event service flex processing. Copy and paste all of that into rel1, the very first relationship. Again, checking for spaces, please, which there doesn't seem to be any, which is good. So in rel1, you're going to copy and paste into there the system event service flex processing. Once you've done that, create the instance, click add. Okay. There's only one last step to do, I believe. Nearly there. Next slide is now create that instance. You've told it to go and point to system event service flex processing, but does it actually exist? Of course not. So let's go and create that. Service flex processing is going to be the name of the instance that we want. So let's go and create that. So under system, event, you can then click on configuration and add new instance. Okay, the name is service flex processing. And the presentation says, add a relationship to Nimbus automation service flex processing. Okay, so this is now basically allowing you to wire in a button, which is a request, and an event, that is an event, to the same state machine. In other words, if you come in on a request, you're going to go to an event, which will then take you to the state machine. And if you come in on an event, then you're going to go straight to the state machine. So let's copy and paste this into the first relationship. Checking for spaces. Looking good. All right, click add. Okay, 15 minutes to go. Now, got to create a button, okay? And then we can test it. So, to create a button, we're going to create the button on virtual machine button group, okay? And we're going to call it service flex. So, in CloudForms, if you could click on automate and customization, the same places where the service dialog was, okay? On the left-hand side, go right down and you can see buttons. If you click on buttons, you can see lots of different object types. We want VM and instance. Okay, in other words, if we create a button on cluster, we're only ever going to see it when we click on clusters. We're going to create a button on VM and instance so that we only ever see it on VM and an instance. So click on configuration and add a new button group. Give it a button group text, button group hover text, and give it a button group image. And then click add. On the service flex button group, selected, you can now click on configuration and add a new button. Okay, so that it appears under the service flex group. So add a new button. Go back to the PowerPoint and see what it has to say about doing this. It says, create a button called service flex. So under button text, call it service flex, give it some hover text, give it a button image. Now, go back to the presentation before clicking anything else. It does not tell you to put a dialog on here. Yeah, it doesn't. That dialog is for use on a service, not for the button. So the next thing to do is number 2, which is system process request must be set. And then you must put in service flex underscore processing. This is the key that links the button to the request that you created. Okay. So under system process on the button, change it to request from automation. And set the request to service flex underscore processing. It is case sensitive, so use cut and paste. Now, once that's done, click add. And we are pretty much there. So, go back to the presentation. Test the provision by ordering the service. Now remember, when you order the service, all you're going to be doing here is delivering a catalog item with one item, okay? You're not going to get anything more than that. You're going to get one item, but what you are going to get is some very specific tags set on that item. So let's all do that together. Click on services and click on catalogs. On the left-hand side, you've got service catalogs as the first option. If you click on service catalogs, you can drill down through Amazon demos, or on the right-hand side, you can just click order on service flex. If you could order your service flex catalog item, you will then see the dialog. So the first thing to do is to enable service flex monitoring. The second thing to do is to set how many you want to flex out to. I'm just going to set it straight to 5. So service flex monitor is set to true and maximum flex is set to 5. You click submit. That is going to order that catalog item. Now CloudForms puts it into a queue, as you can see here. Okay, top item, pending approval, but it should auto approve, which it has. Now, when you filled out your catalog item, you told it to call your VM instance a name. I actually said for mine to be called Johnny5. So I am expecting to get an Amazon instance created called Johnny5 at some point. Okay. Now, until this is done, now I'm clicking reload on this. It won't be ready, so let's see how long it will take CloudForms to do this. Okay, so you can see mine says pending to queued 1, so it's on its way. Now, because it is Amazon, it shouldn't take too long, though Amazon does seem to be running extremely slow today. It's a very small little instance, so hopefully only a minute or so. Okay, mine's still pending at the moment. Now you can obviously go and view the log files on here. I haven't given you the pen key to be able to log on to CloudForms, but that's not a problem really, because you can actually click on automate and there's a log function there. So you can click on automate, you click on log, and you can see what CloudForms is actually up to. But obviously we can't just sit here and wait for the queue to update. Okay, so mine's still queued away. I'm going to cheat a little bit by logging into my system. It's the first time I've done it. So let's try this again. So yeah, I mean, my system's chugging away. It's dealing with it at the moment. I'm just going to stay on the queue, wait for the queue to finish. So it's active now, so it stopped being queued, it's now active. If I actually go to Amazon, let's try going to AWS itself. Okay, so in Amazon console, EC2, 56 running instances, so there's more. People are doing this, clearly. It's, oh look, there's Johnny 5. So he's initializing at the moment. Stephen's there and Amit is there. So 3 people out of 28. That's could be better. Let's go back to CloudForms and see where he's up to. Oh, good, right. So mine says request completed. All right, so remember, the only thing that you got from this is literally the catalog item that you ordered. And the only thing that that catalog item really did for you was you enabled monitoring and you told it that it could flex up to 5. So if you click on services and my services, you will then be able to see your service that you just deployed. And on the right-hand side, you'll see under Smart Management, Service Flex Current 1, e.g. there's one called Johnny 5. You've got Service Flex Maximum, which is the choice I made when I ordered the service. And obviously the choice of monitoring is set to true. So how do we actually get this to now flex? Now, for the purpose of this classroom and the remaining 5 minutes, we're going to use a custom button. But if you click on the item itself, which is the VM, it will take you to the virtual machine. And you will see your custom button group that you created. So on your custom button group, Service Flex, you can now click Service Flex. Now, what Service Flex is going to do is some clever stuff. It's going to look at the virtual machine and its tags, which are down here on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. And then it's going to start enumerating that data and deciding whether it should flex or not. And what it's going to do is it's going to go and find the resource that built this in the first place. And remember that the resource that built Johnny 5 was rel 64. Okay? rel 64 test. It's then going to take another copy of rel 64 test and instantiate a new one. Okay? And I can see in my log file some activity is happening, which obviously you guys won't see. But if I click on, I'd go to Firefox and click back to the queue. Okay, so if I go to services and requests, you look down at services and requests, you can see the service flex, which I ordered, but you can also see a new item at the top of the list called rel 64 test 2 Johnny 5 underscore 0001 underscore 1. And that is that service now being flexed by another instance. Now, currently it's pending. Now, when this is completed, and you can see here that it's now cloning it. We are expecting something very clever, okay? And believe me, this is quite clever. If I click on services and my services, ignoring the fact that it's retired in the time that we've been doing our demonstration, but we are expecting another virtual machine to appear in the service. And you can see this on the smart management tags where it says underscore pending is set to 1. So CloudForms knows it's in the process of actually doing a provision to flex this service. If I refresh this, not quite finished yet. But when it has finished flexing and it's put that new virtual machine in place, then we will get a new instance. Now, that's great if you're going to do it from a button, which, you know, it technically works, but obviously you can also fire this with an alert. All you need to do is go to the alerts that you imported and assign those alerts to the first virtual machine in the service. Now, you could do that by tag, you could do it by cluster, enterprise, virtual machine name, whatever you like. But if you assign an alert, one of those alerts, those service flex alerts, to the first machine, then depending on what alert you connected, if you spike the memory or spike the CPU, then it will be just the same as pressing a button. Okay, when the spike happens, a new virtual machine will be provisioned and added to the service. I'm just refreshing my CloudForms page, and there she is. Yeah. So I've got the original one, and I've now got a new one there as well. And you can see here that the tags have been updated. Service flex current is 2, the maximum is still 5, it's still enabled, and there's none pending. So, thank you for the round of applause. That was a pretty awesome demo because it all worked very well. This is stuff, in the last 30 seconds of this is stuff that you really do need to do inside your POCs. Okay, it's pretty clever stuff. It can work off real-time alerts in VMware environments. Obviously, that's what most people have. Or you can do it off buttons or other mechanisms. You can even do it through API if you wanted to. Okay, but the point is, you can take a service and you can keep flexing it out. Remember that state machine is just a step of workflows or workflow step or workflow of steps. So we added one step that caused service flexing to do something, but you could equally add another step which added to load balancers. Okay, in this AWS instance of CloudForms, which you can keep for the next 4 hours, you'll see there is another catalog item in here which actually does exactly that, adds instances to Amazon load balancers. So you could merge these two services together, for instance, and really give a very good story. Anyway, my time's up, so I've got to go onto my next presentation. If you want to join me there, we're doing ServiceNow and CloudForms, and we're going to hook up these same instances. So if you're only working with CloudForms, you can keep your instance. Nobody's going to take it away from that.